When the noise of the day fades away deep into the night, and you watch the shifting shadows outside your window, do you feel a lingering helplessness, as if you are a leaf drifting helplessly in a raging storm? During the Kanei era of Japan, a dark age ravaged by famine, tyranny and bloodshed, there lived a quiet young man whose life turned into a poignant legend. He never sought fame or the glory of war, yet at the young age of 16, fate cast him straight into the brutal eye of the storm of religious conflict and government suppression. To the public, he was a miracle worker who could make birds rest on his palm and restore sight to the blind. He was hailed as a savior who led the renowned Shimabara rebellion, and depicted in countless tales as a peerlessly beautiful and mysterious youth. Beneath these labels fabricated and exaggerated by the world, however, lay his true self. Alone in a simple room late at night, he would close the yellowed pages of the Bible with trembling hands, overwhelmed by sorrow yet holding fast to restraint. Tonight, by the soft glow of the flickering fire, let us walk through his story. The young man trapped between deified legend and tragic doom is Amakusa Shiro. This is a tale of fanatical faith, inner struggle and an unyielding fight against cruel destiny. Everyone knows the oath he proclaimed to 37,000 starving people amid the ruins of Hara Castle, that the kingdom of heaven had come. Everyone knows his tragic end, destroyed by the shogunate's army of 120,000 soldiers. Few people see past the myths. In truth, he was an introverted, refined, and lonely soul who dwelled in solitude for most of his life. Now relax your body and calm your breath to the rhythm of the fire. Let us travel back to that pivotal moment when fate snapped and a silent storm began to gather. It was late autumn in 1637 on the island of Shimabara in Kyushu. A cold, heavy air hung over the land, and the barren fields stood like lifeless sculptures in the dim twilight. That night, 16-year-old Amakusa Shiro sat alone in a dim side room of a wooden house. The sky outside was shrouded in thick mist, and the air carried the faint bitter scent of soil. Local Lord Matsukura Shigeharu squeezed every last resource from his people. Even after successive severe droughts, he imposed unbearably harsh taxes. Just days before, innocent women who could not pay were stripped and drowned in the icy river. A man of principle who cherished literature and morality deeply, Shiro watched these tragedies unfold, his heart filled with boundless compassion and despair. Under the rule of the Tokugawa shogunate, hidden beliefs were ruthlessly suppressed, and commoners were treated like disposable laborers. Peace-loving and well-versed in Western ideas, this gentle youth meant no more than dirt to the tyrannical rulers. Desperation finally drove the peasants to rise up. On a cold dawn, they killed the corrupt officials, and rebellion spread across Shimabara. The cries of villagers whose homes were burned, the cold stares of warriors, and the constant threat of execution weighed heavily on his slender shoulders. He faced a bitter choice: to perish in humiliation as a victim of tyranny, or to find spiritual independence through unwavering faith. Late at night, gazing at the charred earth outside, Shiro smoothed the frayed hem of his faded plain robe. He shed no tears and begged no lord for mercy. Instead, he faced the looming danger with gentle but unshakable resolve. He knew the law offered no protection to the suffering people. Deep in the night, he made a daring stand, building a spiritual sanctuary for the anxious folk that no violence could ever break. As the rebellion swelled into an irresistible tide, Amakusa Shiro captivated the entire corrupt shogunate with his extraordinary charisma. Unlike other wandering warriors who curried favor with authorities for wealth and rank, he relied on his ethereal beauty and comforting words to stand firmly against the ruling power. To the displaced commoners, he was no longer an ordinary young hermit, but a divinely chosen savior, the only light that could lead them out of misery. Forces of power and authority kept a close watch on the boy who dared to break the rules. After months of confrontation, Shiro led 37,000 starving followers to retreat to Hara Castle, an abandoned fortress by the sea, to defend themselves against the shogunate's well-trained troops. Merchants and politicians dismissed the resistance as foolish. Made up of elders, women and children, the rebels stood little chance against the shogunate's powerful military. Many talented souls yielded to such pressure and became tools of those in power. Yet beneath his mild demeanor and soft smile, Amakusa Shiro was as firm and unyielding as ice. He understood clearly that surrender would condemn these defenseless people to lifelong servitude and death. Staking his reputation and the fate of the entire castle, he held his ground against worldly greed and power. On cold nights, wrapped in a cloak against the wind, he would stand on the grey stone ramparts, listening to the waves crash against the rocks. Returning indoors, he wrote down his timeless words, "Here lies the kingdom of heaven. Faith endures. The spirit remains free." In this silent battle of wills, he defended the supreme dignity of an unyielding heart, etching the name of this ruined fortress forever into the pages of history. By early spring of 1638, the siege of Hara Castle had pushed everyone to the brink, and Shiro was caught in an inner struggle between mortal frailty and spiritual salvation. Misled by the rebellious spirit he embodied, many painted him as a violent, gloomy and dangerous figure. Stories even twisted his deeds, portraying him as a man corrupted by bloodlust and hungry for power. The real Amakusa Shiro, however, was pure and solitary, like a hermit from a bygone age. His days were simple and quiet. Beyond comforting and protecting the refugees inside the castle, he took no part in trivial public affairs. Tales of a tender romance between him and a young girl on the battlefield speak not of extravagant noble unions, but of the only warmth that accompanied this gifted youth amid desperate times. The contrast between his calm nature and the fierce resistance he led creates the most thought-provoking paradox of his life. His passionate fight for freedom stemmed from an earnest longing for sincerity and the sacred dignity of humanity. Food ran completely dry within the castle. Starvation and cold claimed countless lives day after day. Overworked and worn down by the war, Shiro's health deteriorated. Severe malnutrition left him running a constant fever, and every plan for defense was accompanied by cold sweats and muscle spasms. Still, he stood like a lonely stone statue, keeping on with his humble yet noble work with paper and brush. He did not merely endure solitude. Within it, he built an eternal haven of peace for all the wounded souls trapped in the fortress. On the night of April 12, 1638, the sky above Hara Castle was clear. A faint warmth of early summer lingered in the air, yet this strange beauty marked the final act of his fate. After months of failed assaults, the shogunate's 120,000 troops unleashed heavy artillery, including cannons from western ships, reducing the fortress that held all his spiritual hopes to complete ruins. Faced with enemy soldiers pouring through the breaches, outnumbering his people dozens of times over, Shiro showed no anger or despair. He knew well the darkness of this world. What the age lacked was not more chaos and destruction, but respect for order and reflection on how power twists the soul. The castle lay in ashes, and he knew his last line of defense had fallen. His followers knelt before him in tears, begging to escort him through secret gates to hide in remote mountains. Enemy generals also offered high rank and wealth in exchange for his surrender. He simply shook his head gently, his resolve as unbreakable as ancient ice. He refused to compromise and live an empty life to cater to a vain world. It was the proudest defiance of a man who stayed true to his beliefs. He straightened his dark battle garment stained with blood and sweat, and sat calmly in the burning keep. When a musket bullet pierced his young body, he whispered his final words with his last breath, "Faith never dies. The kingdom of heaven has come." With no outcry or dramatic ending, he slipped down onto the dark soil he had loved all his life. The blood faded away, while his expression stayed peaceful and composed. His dignified passing was the ultimate glory of his life. He bowed to no tyrant, and with unwavering integrity, he shattered the unfair oppression that sought to trample human dignity. When all the commotion around the ruins of Hara Castle faded into the night, the dust of history settled over the passing ages. Looking back on Amakusa Shiro's life, we may finally unravel the mystery behind the myths and the fall of his spiritual cause. What legacy did this misunderstood and deified young leader leave behind? Was it the famous uprising recorded in history, or the unwavering line of defense he held fast to through the centuries? His greatest gift to the world is the courage to stay disciplined and peaceful at heart, even after witnessing the cruelty of wealth and power. On this quiet night by the dim fire, when we recall this upright, aloof figure who searched for light amid endless loneliness, we feel no obsession over defeat, only profound peace. Through 16 years of noble perseverance and restraint, he stood against the inevitable loss and oblivion in life. He teaches us to face hardships with grace and courage. The mystery of the cross that has endured for hundreds of years holds a different meaning for everyone. As long as you keep purity and tenderness in your heart through the darkest days, you will never be defeated by fate. Night has fallen deep, and the noise of the city has faded away. After hearing this story, release the tension of the day and let your tired body sink into warm bedding. Let go of worries about the future and regrets of the past, and let them turn into gentle dreams tonight. Close your eyes, and drift off to peaceful sleep as the firelight fades away. Good night.